Let's be honest, the only thing more exhausting than living through the Trump and Biden presidencies is trying to have a nuanced conversation about them. It's like choosing between a root canal and a colonoscopy. Neither option is appealing, but at least one involves drugs. Today we're diving into the political abyss to dissect the key differences between the 45th and 46th presidents. We're talking about their policies, leadership styles, and maybe even their favorite ice cream flavors. Understanding these two approaches to leadership is like teaching a cat to play the ukulele, confusing, frustrating, and fascinating. Welcome to our breakdown of the key differences between Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
Donald Trump's worldview could be summed up with two words: America first. Trump approached international relations like a seasoned negotiator sizing up a mark in a back-alley poker game, with suspicion, aggression, and a healthy dose of what's in it for me. International agreements? More like international disagreements, am I right? He viewed the world as a zero-sum game, where one nation's gain was inherently another's loss. In Trump's America, it was every nation for itself.
Now let's switch gears to Joe Biden. Biden's like a polite, slightly boring uncle at a family reunion. He's all about diplomacy, cooperation, and awkward group photos. Biden believes in alliances, multilateral agreements, and high-level meetings with lots of handshakes and platitudes. It's a stark contrast, to say the least.
Now let's talk taxes, shall we? Nothing gets Americans more fired up than the government taking a slice of their hard-earned cash. Trump's approach to taxes was simple. Cut them, baby, cut them. He slashed taxes for corporations and individuals, promising an economic boom. Think of it as trickle-down economics on steroids. Give more to the wealthy and businesses. While the economy grew, the benefits largely flowed to the already wealthy, leaving many working Americans wondering when those promised riches would trickle down to them.
Joe Biden sings a different tune on taxes. He supports a progressive tax system where the wealthy pay more to fund social programs and invest in the middle class. Investing in education, healthcare, and infrastructure can create a more equitable society. Critics argue raising taxes on businesses and high earners stifles growth. It's a classic debate: tax cuts versus social spending.
The COVID-19 pandemic, that unwelcome guest that just kept overstaying its welcome. Trump's response to the pandemic was, well, let's just say it was a choice. He downplayed the virus's severity, promoted unproven treatments, and clashed with his own health experts. It was a masterclass in misinformation, mismanagement, and just plain old bad leadership.
Joe Biden campaigned on a promise to shut down the virus, not the country. He emphasized mask wearing, social distancing, and vaccines. The federal government played a crucial role in coordinating the response and providing financial assistance, ensuring equitable access to testing and treatment. Biden tried to project calm and competence despite the complexities.
Donald Trump's political philosophy, if you can call it that, was all about disruption. He reveled in challenging norms, attacking institutions, and generally shaking things up. His supporters loved him for it. Love him or hate him, there's no denying that Trump was a force of nature in American politics, a disruptor who upended the status quo and left an indelible mark on the country.
Joe Biden campaigned on unity and healing. He promised to restore normalcy and rebuild America's standing in the world. Whether he succeeded is debatable. Biden's approach is fundamentally different from Trump's. His politics focus on quiet diplomacy and finding common ground, even if it means compromises.
Now let's wade into the murky waters of religion and politics, shall we? Trump's stance on religion was complicated, to say the least. He courted evangelical voters, appointed conservative judges, and often framed his policies in religious terms. But he also made comments that alienated many people of faith, and his personal life didn't exactly scream devout Christian. His approach to religious freedom was similarly transactional.
Joe Biden, a devout Catholic, brings a very different perspective to the intersection of faith and politics. He often speaks about his faith informing his worldview and his commitment to social justice. His approach to religious freedom is more inclusive, emphasizing the rights of all faiths to practice freely without discrimination. Biden sees religion as a unifying force, something that can bring people together rather than tear them apart.
Remember all those international agreements Trump ripped up? Yeah, Biden's not a fan of that approach. He believes in the power of diplomacy, multilateralism, and working with allies to address global challenges. Biden sees international agreements as essential tools for addressing issues like climate change, nuclear proliferation, and trade. He believes that America is stronger when it works with allies, and he's willing to make compromises to achieve shared goals.
Biden's foreign policy can be summed up as a return to normalcy, or at least a return to the pre-Trump era. He's not afraid to use military force when necessary, but he sees it as a last resort, not a first option. He's more interested in diplomacy, economic engagement, and building alliances to address global challenges. It's a more traditional approach to foreign policy, one that emphasizes cooperation, multilateralism, and a belief in the international order.
Trump's economic record is a mixed bag, to put it mildly. He presided over a period of economic growth, but it was largely a continuation of trends that began under Obama. He also implemented a massive tax cut that disproportionately benefited corporations and the wealthy. His trade policies were chaotic and often counterproductive, leading to trade wars and uncertainty in the global economy.
Joe Biden's economic agenda is focused on investing in infrastructure, clean energy, and education. He believes that these investments will create jobs, boost economic growth, and make the economy more equitable. He's also proposed raising taxes on corporations and the wealthy to pay for these investments and reduce the deficit. Biden's economic plan is a sharp departure from Trump's trickle-down approach.
Trump's immigration policies were among his most controversial. He implemented a travel ban on citizens from several Muslim-majority countries, separated families at the border, and made it more difficult for asylum seekers to enter the United States. He also made building a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border a central promise of his campaign, though it was never fully funded or built. Trump's immigration policies were driven by a belief that immigrants were a threat to national security and the economy.
Joe Biden has promised a more humane approach to immigration. He's reversed many of Trump's most controversial policies, including the travel ban and the family separation policy. He's also proposed a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants who meet certain requirements. However, Biden has also faced criticism for his handling of the border, where there has been a surge in migrants seeking asylum.
Donald Trump's environmental policies were generally hostile to environmental protection. He rolled back numerous environmental regulations, withdrew the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement, and opened up public lands to drilling and mining. Trump viewed environmental regulations as an impediment to economic growth. His environmental policies were widely criticized by scientists and environmental groups.
Joe Biden has made addressing climate change a top priority of his presidency. He rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement, revoked permits for the Keystone XL pipeline, and has set ambitious goals for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. He's also proposed massive investments in clean energy and infrastructure as part of his economic plan. Biden's environmental policies are a sharp reversal from Trump's.
Donald Trump's relationship with the media was combative, to say the least. He frequently attacked the media as the enemy of the people, accused journalists of spreading fake news, and refused to engage with outlets he deemed hostile. His rhetoric was dangerous and irresponsible, contributing to a climate of hostility towards journalists.
Joe Biden's relationship with the media is more traditional. He holds regular press conferences, takes questions from reporters, and generally treats the media with respect. However, Biden has also been criticized for his administration's lack of transparency on certain issues. Still, Biden's approach to the media is a welcome change from Trump's.
So, there you have it. a whirlwind tour of the key differences between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. From their approaches to foreign policy and the economy to their stances on immigration and the environment, these two presidents couldn't be more different. Trump, the showman, the disruptor, the Twitter warrior; Biden, the pragmatist, the unifier, the steady hand. Their presidencies represent two vastly different visions for America, and their legacies will continue to shape the country for years to come.